Why physical intimacy makes your Christian spouse uncomfortable and how to rebuild biblical connections. Are you tired of your marriage not growing? You're not alone. Welcome to Why Your Marriage Isn't Growing, a podcast helping couples reignite their relationship, break free from the trap of just getting along, and rediscover the joy and passion they once had. Welcome back to another episode of Why Your Marriage Isn't Growing, the Christian couple's guide to rekindling love, faith, and connection. Hello, my name is Greg.
And my name is Carolyn.
In this episode, you'll discover why your Christian spouse feels uncomfortable with physical intimacy and exactly how to rebuild the biblical connection God intended for your marriage. I've been waiting on this one.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the 3 benefits that they're going to get in this episode. The surprising reasons Christian spouses develop discomfort with physical touch, how past experiences and false beliefs about biblical intimacy create barriers, a faith-centered approach to rebuilding physical connection that honors both spouses.
Many Christian marriages struggle with physical intimacy. And it's not because of love, but because of discomfort, some cases shame, a lot of cases misunderstanding about God's design for marital connection. But what if you could understand the root causes that could help you rebuild intimate bond God intended for your marriage? Wouldn't that be a beautiful place to be?
It would be a beautiful
I think that would be the most awesome place to be in my mind.
So there's a surprising reason Christian spouses develop discomfort with physical touch.
Why?
Common sources of physical intimacy discomfort in Christian marriages is from shame from past sexual experiences, misguided teaching about sexuality and purity, body image struggles intensified by cultural pressures, past trauma and negative experiences, and the fear of being used rather than loved.
That's deep.
Mm-hmm.
Solomon says in the Bible, he says you should celebrate physical intimacy as God's beautiful gift to married couples. When discomfort exists, it prevents couples from experiencing the fullness of what God designed for marriage. Because a lot of times it might be for real, they've come to a point where, depending on how long they've been married, it may be uncomfortable for certain things to take place. Because remember, what if they've been married for 30, 40 years and what they were doing in their 20s and 30s, they can't do it in their 50s and 60s. You know what I'm saying?
I hope never to get there.
Well, I knew that when the listeners were going to laugh. If you're not laughing, you will be laughing.
Oh, my goodness.
Because my wife is a silver senior is what I would say. And she still has, I won't say the same. She has a great deal of intensity in that area. There is no physical things hindering her from carrying out or performing her duties. And we're laughing about this, but this is really a serious issue because there could be some people out there.
I'm sure.
And we don't know any because they haven't really come forth and be transparent. But we have, because a lady said something to me the other day. She says, when I see you guys, it's like there's a glow.
Yeah.
And I wanted to share with her what it was, but I was like, okay, I can't. When you generally explore potential sources of discomfort together and discuss how past relationships or experiences might be affecting current intimacy, then things could work out. But if you don't, they've come to a crossroads in their life.
So you want to consider whether purity cultural messages created shame around sexuality that carried into marriage.
I like that.
You want to address
I love that.
Body image concerns with patience and affirmation.
Come on.
And you want to acknowledge any past trauma that might need professional Christian counseling.
Because if you don't explore whether physical intimacy feels transactional rather than connecting, then you've missed the whole boat. This is not like going to the grocery store and buying a loaf of bread and a gallon of milk. It's not a transaction. This is the emotional deal that's taking place.
You want to ask with compassion, what would help physical touch feel safer and more enjoyable.
And why do I want
for
to?
you?
Why do I want to ask that?
Because you want to satisfy your partner.
Really?
You do.
And I want to satisfy my partner, because I can assure you that past experiences and false beliefs about biblical intimacy creates barriers. It always does, because sometimes you bring in what was good for you with a past partner that don't have nothing to do with your current partner. And you can't keep expecting things to take place. You might have jumped from chandeliers. That ain't happening here.
Okay.
And it's a very bad impact and a distorted teaching about Christian sexuality. It's the lie that sex is dirty or shameful. The false belief that physical desires are sinful even in marriage. Confusion about the difference between purity before marriage and freedom within marriage, and understanding God's design for marital intimacy.
Well, let's talk about what it says in Genesis chapter 2, verse 25.
I love the Bible.
It describes the original design as being naked and unashamed.
That's what I'm talking about.
When false beliefs create shame in marriage, they work against God's intention for intimate connection between spouses.
Because you have to address false belief with biblical truth.
That's right.
You and I always say this. You'll say to me,
What does the Bible say?
What did God say about this?
I say it every day.
I know you do. And that's why I've said I don't want to be interrogated and feeling vulnerable.
Yeah.
When we study this thing out, and we always like to study the Song of Solomon, because he says, together to see God's celebration of marital physical intimacy.
And they should study it together.
They should study together and distinguish between biblical purity, faithfulness within marriage, and shame based on messages. See, don't shame the person. When you're resorting to all these different tactics, that means you're creating that wall. They're not going to be opening up and honest with you.
You want to understand the physical desire within marriage is God's design.
Why?
Not something to feel guilty about.
Why do I want to do that?
Because it's not to be felt guilty about.
And if I make you feel guilty, well,
I should tell you.
You should tell me?
I should tell you.
And then what should I do if I'm making you feel guilty?
You should change.
I should change? What's one thing I could do to change if you think I'm making you feel guilty by what I'm saying? Because I may not be aware of what I just said to you was actually shaming you. I may be thinking I'm helping you.
Yeah, well, you just have to work with it.
Well, work with it now.
Recognize that the marriage bed is undefiled. Hebrews 13:4, and a place of freedom.
And basically, the reason why I was digging so deep in there is because you got to consider reading Christian books about biblical sexuality together, like intended for pleasure or sheet music. That's why I was asking that.
To make you sing.
Because it definitely see that I had to pause for the calls. I don't want my listeners. I don't want our listeners to be thinking.
So you want to pray together, asking God to heal any shame or false beliefs affecting your intimacy.
I love it.
I do too.
Because most importantly, a faith-centered approach to rebuilding physical connection is going to honor both spouses. And we talked about this before. When you use the restore approach, is to rebuilding biblical intimacy, taking time for healing, creating emotional safety, rebuilding trust through non-sexual touch, trust and touch, basically. The part I like, and you often tell me that, is just gradually moving slowly toward physical connection.
Full
with patience.
physical connection.
Full. Don't just jump right in. Just take your time. Remember, you didn't get there overnight, and you ain't going to get out of it overnight. So just take your time. Be easy.
Well, it tells us in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 3 and 5, speaks of mutual consideration and physical intimacy.
I like that.
Biblical restoration
Jesus.
honors both spouses.
It does.
Needs and moves at a pace that builds rather than pressures.
And we can't stress this no more important than when you implement a faith-centered restore process. When you do that, it's intentional.
So rest in God's design.
Why do I need to rest in God's design?
Study scriptures together about God's intention for marital intimacy.
You think that's the key?
I do.
I think so too.
Examine the barriers. honestly discuss what makes physical touch uncomfortable.
And when you address the past wounds through prayer, counseling, and pastoral guidance. But again, remember, we talked about this before. When you consider going to your pastor, and I am a pastor, make sure that pastor or that man or woman of God that you're seeking counsel from is not toxic.
That they're in a healthy relationship.
Do not be afraid to ask questions.
So you want to seek healing. Address past wounds through prayer, counseling, and pastoral guidance as needed.
You got to talk regularly about comfort levels and what feels good, because that allows open communication.
It does.
So there's no misunderstanding what I'm saying, how I am saying it, and what I mean by that.
Okay.
Because when you do that, you got to rebuild gradually. It allows you to rebuild gradually.
So you want to take it slow. Begin with non-sexual affectionate touch, hand-holding, hugging, and cuddling. You got anything to say about that?
Hand-holding.
Sir?
You just learning how to celebrate physical connection. Worshiping God and blessings for your marriage. Everything is centered around pleasing God. Because when you please God, God's going to bless you in your marriage.
In your marriage.
Because the whole design of the marriage is to please God. You think that it's to please your spouse, and it's not. It's to please God.
So you want to open communications. Talk regularly about comfort levels and what feels good. I like this one. What feels good.
What feels good? Tell me how you really feel.
That's how I really feel.
Tell me how you really feel.
Rebuild gradually. Let physical intimacy develop naturally as comfort and trust grows.
And just learn how to embrace God's gift. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord.
This is what I like. Celebrate physical connection as worship.
See?
And God's blessing on your marriage.
And why do you like physical connection so much?
I just do.
I know that you do. And I try to give you as much of that physical touch as I can. We've been married for nearly 40 years, and I don't really do a whole lot of talking in that area.
Okay.
I'm being transparent.
So key things. Pray together before and after intimate moment.
Yeah, I agree.
Focus on emotional connection and spiritual unity alongside physical connection. Be patient with the process. Healing takes time. And consider Christian counseling if trauma or deep shame issues need professional help.
When you say consider Christian counseling, consider Christian healthy counseling. We want to make sure that you understand that the marriage has to be healthy people, because nothing worse than you going to someone and finding out that they're as toxic as you are, but you won't know that unless they're being 100% transparent. But you should be able to judge them by the fruit when you're watching them. Because I know when people watch you, they can see that I'm taking care of some business.
Yeah.
If they're watching you closely enough, they'll see you smiling. Because if you ain't smiling, there's a problem somewhere. Yeah. Y'all can't see this big old Chester Cheater smile that Carolyn has on her face right now. It's incredible. I love it. What are your final thoughts on this? Because I want our audience to hear your final thoughts. Because sometimes I like to give final thoughts, but on this one, I want you to give your final thoughts, because your voice is so soothing.
Oh, thank you, dear. God didn't design physical intimacy as an afterthought in marriage.
Ooh, go ahead.
He created it as a powerful expression of the spiritual unity he intended for husband and wife.
Say that.
When your spouse feels uncomfortable with physical touch, they're not rejecting you personally. They're protecting themselves from something that doesn't feel safe or honoring.
That's good. Isn't that a good thing?
It is.
They're
good.
protecting themselves.
As you rebuild physical connection with patience, understanding, and faith, you're not just improving your sex life, you're participating in God's design for marriage as a reflection of Christ's intimate love for his church. The physical intimacy you rebuild together can become a place of healing, connection, and worship.
Because it's all about worshiping and giving God the glory and the honor. And when you continue to keep giving God the glory and the honor, God just keeps on giving you the gift that keeps on
Keeps
giving.
on giving.
And boy, I've been getting a true gift for quite some time. That's one of the reasons why we do this, because we want people to understand that being a Christian and being married can be a wonderful and beautiful. I promise you, it just is. It's not hard for me to explain, but you have to experience it. But you got to keep God at the center of this relationship.
So you want to recap, honey?
Certainly. We explored the common reasons Christian spouses develop discomfort with physical intimacy. We also addressed how false beliefs about biblical sexuality create barriers to connections. We learned the faith-centered restore approach to rebuilding physical intimacy. Take your time. Do it right. There was a song about that. Yeah, I'm not going to sing the song for you because God didn't gift me with that wonderful voice that he gifted my grandmother and my mother. They would be so proud of seeing me actually, or listening to me actually doing what I'm doing. And again, we talked about discomfort with intimacy often stems from shame, trauma, or false teachings, not lack of love. There's a lot of false teachings going on here. There's a lot of trauma. But biblical intimacy is about God's gift to marriage and can be restored with patience and prayer. Yeah. Do you agree with that? Patience and prayer?
I do.
Well, I hope you enjoyed listening to Carolyn and I, because we love coming out here and doing these podcasts, connecting with you, the listener. You might be walking like I do. You might be working out at the gym. You might be doing whatever you're doing. You might even be driving along in your car. I love to listen to podcasts when I go on a long trip, especially when I go to Pittsburgh or I go up to Cleveland, and I can listen to a lot. And I walk for like an hour, 45 minutes, and I listen to a lot of good stuff. So I want to thank you for joining us today. We do new episodes every Monday and Thursday. So be sure to follow us wherever you're listening to podcasts. No matter what, today's message offered hope for rebuilding physical intimacy in your Christian marriage. If it did so, please share it with someone whose relationship could benefit from this biblical perspective. And like I like to end all of these podcasts, to God be the glory.